아니 바도로 처음 맞지네. 초가 된 덴발라 때네. 요나 아니 코 덴로 토타야. 요나 아니 코 갈서고 라마 그 로바체 마토 그런 거 개와 마사 디파사 위치라더니 냐왈 덴리 롬바이나 덴지 토라야 간지치다. 맞아 물론야 다시 적고 그래서야게 되게 남시텔라 바도시그레스. 제 바도시그레스.
So after death, there's a 49-day period. And during that time, we do whatever we can. We'll do different rituals of peaceful deities, of wrathful deities. We'll make offerings of butter lamps and the like, and do whatever help we can. But then there is the point of when the person is born. And after that, it depends on their own actions.
那在人这个死亡以后呢，就是说我们说有49天的时间。那在49天的时间呢，大家都尽力做任何的这个供养善事、点灯。那在之后的时候呢，受身的时候呢，就是取决于他们的这个业来看受身到何处。
근데 시그 바도 남시대 할래야가 나서 남시다 다다 나서 그 남바시바다 만자와 남시대 배 조보 아니 조보지 시아 배 조보 렌트야 딘디그 남시지요레스.
And to be born in this situation as a human is an unbelievably rare and unique opportunity, and a very delicate one as well that can very quickly pass.
那这个就是说死亡的这个感觉的这个觉受呢，就是说是非常要有经验才能够觉察的，就这一瞬间是非常快就会消失掉的。
아니 나서 메종 차베 제라 라마테 소고 포아제 연나 라마 포안데게 마이나 소소로니 그 포아야 버정에나 소소가 남시대 아니 바도는 처음기야 근데 요 도고요래 된다베 그때는 남시대라 아니 바도가 남시세 그랬어.
바도가 남시스는 뜻이?
남바시바.
So at the moment that a person dies, there's also the possibility that a lama will do poa for them, or if that own person has trained in poa, they can do poa for themselves and then transcend this entire experience of that 49-day Bardo.
那还有一个修法的话呢，就是说有这个经验的修法者呢，他可以自己做坡瓦修持，就是在临终快死亡的时候，或者请有经验的喇嘛来帮他修坡瓦法。那这一个方法呢，可以取代刚刚所讲的49天的中阴期。
그래 나서 배라고 지를 차샤바이나 아니 미스 총바이나 라마 포안데게 레라고라 그래 니 비슷한 배기 가서 미통치 치바베 침보래 니 바도라 나오시라 거기 좀 말해 상기되스 이나요 나서라 네쇼팔라 다 라마 남시 방에 포아 방에 빼칼레 가오래 소소소소가 나서 포아 담네 니 바도를 처음 고야게 포야 버정게 개침보래 샤스.
And of course, if someone, is a good lama that knows the poa, then, this is very easy for them. They can just send their consciousness out and it's very simple. But for the rest of us, this is something that's quite a challenge and quite difficult. So it is important to be able to study things like the poa so that we can have control of one's consciousness when going into the Bardo stage.
那对于有经验的喇嘛和修行者来说呢，修这个临终破瓦法，让我们的意识迁识的话呢，是非常容易的。 但是对于剩下的我们没有任何修持的话呢，这是非常痛苦也是非常困难的一个时期。所以很重要的是在我们活着的时候就要学习这方面的经验，同时认真的修持，这样子才能成功的把我们的意识迁转。
네, 나서 게다 바도 세위 값을 무참하게 손로고 나라야. 되니 가르쳐 버려. 전원도 진원단도 되니 샤게나 되니 전에 고마레스.
이한테 치소나.
나 배나가 총차비 지라나 바도라 한도사레 사야게 손은 코다 되니 간다 제게나 간다 전에 지하고 말레스.
So when we consider going to the Bardo, we shouldn't be thinking about like kandesa.
나서 배나 미총차비 지라다 다다스 뭐니 오 지마가 바도르니 넘시 총조사레 나 지하여 볼렌토사 말레사네.
Yeah, so we shouldn't dwell on the scary things like, oh my gosh, when I die, I'm going to go to the Bardo and then my consciousness is going to get confused and all of these negative thoughts. Don't dwell on that. That doesn't have any benefit.
但是呢，就算是没有任何的准备呢，这种负面的想法，哎呀，我要死了，我马上要有中阴了，我都不知道怎么办。这种负面的让你很紧张的这种情绪不要有，因为它只会对我们有坏处而已。
근데 다 근데 그 바돌로 알아서 지하 램바이나야 바돌로 짬 먹고야 jina mugoya hina mugoya karagore seri tambo dela then lama la so mobata dig to the pentu ji yores.
So when we go into the state of the Bardo, we shouldn't be going in with a state of anxiety, with a state of fear, with this nervousness. Instead, we need a few things. The first is we need a strong devotion and homage to our root guru.
那当我们就是意识到了中阴气的话呢，不能够有紧张，也不应该有这种非常焦虑的情绪。我们需要几件事情来帮助我们。第一件事情就是对于我们根本上师的纯然的这种前进的信心。
니버테 라메가 바도 당아 콘숨바테 냥라야보체테 점게 님바드레스.
The second thing we should do is we should listen carefully to the Lama's oral instructions on the Bardo, and we should practice them very well.
第二个事情呢是非常要仔细的听这个上师对你的口传中阴的指导，每一步该怎么做，然后呢应该照样的去这个操作。
신주노노 소만나 신게 전반이셔 mindfulness 전반이셔다 신내가 한통데 감모 잡아이나 되니 바도 넘신 처먹어야 배편도 첨부에 있어res.
And then thirdly, we should do a lot of research and practice on maintaining mindfulness. These are the three most important things that we need to approach the Bardo.
Also 신내다 한통.
And doing the mindfulness and calming meditation. The Shinedang.
Shamatha and Vipassana.
Vipassana, okay, yes, the calming meditation and contemplative meditation.
那第四件事的话呢，就是我们要做大量的这个研究，还有修持的话呢，就是让我们平时的这个四念住禅修呢，就修得非常好。所以在死亡的时候呢，这个止观还有念住禅修呢，对我们这个成功迁识善身呢是非常重要的。
아니 대성 마세다 바도 세야데 담보데 니 바도 고모스나다 바도 세야데 간디 임바데 나저고 하고게 제게 주모데샤스 펜도 차이잖아 디 싱가포르 운에 가리 임바다 하고나 니 빼메시 펜도 주모요레스.
So aside from this, another really important thing when approaching the Bardo is to understand what is the Bardo in essence. So for example, we look at a singing bowl, we could say it's a singing bowl, but do we understand what the singing bowl is in essence? We need to likewise inspect and truly understand the essential meaning of what is the Bardo.
这四件事情的话呢，就是一定要非常清楚的知道到底什么是中阴，中阴的精华或者它的体性是什么。举个例子，刚刚仁波切拿起一个所谓的这个这个乐器，那你真的是了解这个乐器它的构造、它的理论、它的精华是什么的？所以很重要的，我们就是去研究和学习中阴的这个实相是什么。
Teresa, can you show me what is Bardo for just one present? Number one, go up there. The second, number three, yes. Okay, Amalaya, can you this for it first?
Sure. What is the meaning of Bardo? Bardo refers to any type of transitional stage, like the experience of traveling after leaving your starting point, but before arriving. In one sense, Bardo refers to the transition between death and rebirth. However, there are 6 major types of Bardo that we will discuss today.
Yes.
第一个是什么是中阴？那中阴的意思就是说，任何的这个在什么之间的这个过渡的情况。那在这里的话，我们讲的就是说死亡以后和未生之前的中阴的这个状态。然后不管怎么样呢，我们有6种不同的这个中阴。
So you know, right? What is Bardo? Okay, now Teresa, you just start. I just mentioned for you. So just what is Bardo? Just 2-3 types, right? Now I said Bardo. Then ngazo Bardo segude ngazo la number hiba 3 ores.
So we've discussed what is Bardo, but as I mentioned previously, there are 6 Bardos of consciousness.
Yeah, 아니 히바찌라 히바투요래 가이스나 주 초와 데시 데시 넘버 히바 예스니 투요래 에스토.
And this is because in essential meaning, within one person, there are actually the 6 parts: body, mind, consciousness, the yanja sorona, the drukti, body, life,
number hiba.
Consciousness.
Yeah.
Feeling. Feeling. Body feeling. Thought. Ideas. Consciousness. And then conscious thought.
Yes. So true
and out of these 6, what we're really talking about when we refer to consciousness is the conscious thought here, or the consciousness of thought here.
那我们刚刚讲过有6种中阴的状态，那它分别对应的呢是我们的这个身受，我们的这个意受，我们的这个想法，还有我们的感受。那真正我们说的这个中阴的这个呢，是我们讲的这个我们的意识层面的这个中阴。
다 된자위게 예지 넘버 히바테 다 나랑서 다달라 나서 예지 넘버 히바 나서 그질래 여와 이디 된자워테 갈레 지네다 동보 시에발레 되는 네바 나서 다다 미세가 나라 지리 아니 타마텔레 가네 되는 나서 밑에 총조 그래 세제로 왔어.
And so when we contemplate these things about what will happen with thought consciousness, we need to think about the path of life. We have birth, growing up, sickness, old age, and then eventually death.
那我们讲到这个意识的话呢，我们就要是反思我们过去时或者我们一直以来生命的状态是怎么样的话呢，都是通过这个生老病死，然后再流转的这样的一个状态。
근데 같은 가서 종조를 값설어 조만타도 같은 가서 주포테다 근데 남바 히바니 코니 로가 카타는 거였어.
And at that moment of death, the body and this thought, this consciousness are going to split from each other.
所以在死亡来临的时候呢，我们这个意识就会和我们的现在的这个肉身呢分开。
근데 다달라 나서게 주포테다 남신 남바니고 코니 냠달라 아니 누구여래 이나요 좀비까들라 그래서 주포테 코카서는 또 사나히 지네 좋아요 말은 남시 가야요 마 주포도 코 다가란 샤 이나 남시 때문투네 아니 나란서 누구여래스.
So at the moment, our consciousness and our body are very much intertwined and together. But when we die, the body is going to be buried under the ground. Whatever happens to it, but the consciousness will continue.
那目前现在的状态的话呢，我们意识和身体是融合在一起的。当死亡来临的那一刻呢，意识就会去到它该去的地方，那我们的身体呢就会被火化呀，被埋起来呀，就是做这个后事的。
근데 다 조마 다 되게 나서 그 넘버 10대 되네 가르쳐 그래. 네 넘버 10대라 차와다 라바세 니요레스.
차와다 라바세나 치세.
차와세나 니베 차시 차와 나서 리라고 통부터 야 넘버 10. 지든 가서 대지 침보 미근 통 남실라 니.
Yeah. So when we look at this consciousness, there are 2 segments that we need to consider. One is subtle and one is more greater or more visual.
那当我们讲到这个意识的话呢，我们要通过2个方面去观察它，一个是比较粗分的状态，另外一个是比较细微的部分。
근데 이나요 다 된这个 남시대 아니 콘 가르쳐 버래. 쪽보 휴시와 랭거래. 가시 존자위지라 샤포 드래곤서라. 아니 알아서 그 이거 넘버 10대 아니 시와를 랭거요레스.
However, this consciousness after we've died is very quickly searching to be born again.
那我们要知道，当我们这个此生死亡，也就是我们刚刚讲意识和身体分开的时候呢，我们这个意识会非常快的再去找下一个投胎的这个目标。
샤든가 레레건선서 친추르다 바도 일일이래 세데 맞는 이수고요 말한테 남시대 코너니 시와를 랜드고요데 이나양 디시와 랜비가 남시대 대형 다가란데 바도레스.
연주치 소로나.
가서 나서 던타레가 나라 아니 가서 시아랜도 요래데 이나 시아랜나야 남시 끼니 흉도 요래데 이나 다라 남시데 다도세고 그랬어.
de tonra la chichena gyoa yore.
시아랜도 그랬어. 이나
Yine degre bartola degrera.
그랬어.
And so during the 49 days in the Bardo, each week the consciousness is going to attempt to take birth, but it will actually stay in the Bardo during that time.
那在死亡以后呢，我们说过49天，那总共分为7个7天，在7个7天的每一个7天的这个重新开始的时候呢，他都会要尝试去找新的受身。那当然，这个情况是发生在这个我们的中阴状况当中。
아호나 럼바 님바테 다 바도 남시테 바도를 데 먹고야라 아니 소소 그 쳔들 개와 자침보 주 냥라야 보치에나 디 개와다 아니 바도 까슬라 라마 틴지근 덴바데니 개와 자침 사이에 디 닝가라 때니 아니 저런 가르스나 바도를 데 먹고와 바도 마임비 남시 시와래가 돌아 펜도 침보들이 예사레스.
So if you combine the fact that the consciousness does not actually want to remain in the Bardo with whatever virtue you have managed to create in the previous life, the assistance that you have from a Lama, and these things together can create a great benefit.
那我们要清楚呢，在这个中阴当中的话呢，我们这个意识是不想留在中阴状态当中，他想赶快去投生。这个时候呢，影响他投到什么样的这个去处的话呢，一个是我们前世所做的这个善业有多大的力量，另外一个就是对于我们这个上师或者是喇嘛的帮助呢，会产生这个很大的这个助力。
바도 남시대 소소그 개와요 주메 녀라야 보체메 근데 라마 든디그 녀란체네 로바 마치바이나 근데 바도 남시대 근데 나론서 가서거라 연나 냐와라 젠로야 연나 이달라 젠로야 연나 든돌라 젠로야 연나 냐와 이다 든돌라 마치에나야 로아 현달라 제와이나야 베 둥이라 신께 근데 시와랜도 그랬어.
On the other hand, if you have a consciousness which likewise doesn't wish to stay in the Bardo, like all consciousnesses, but this is the consciousness of a person who has not created a lot of virtue, who hasn't done a lot of practice, who doesn't have the assistance of a Lama, then that consciousness, instead of having all of the previous benefits mentioned in good guidance, will go in the wrong direction. So there is the possibility of being reborn in the hell realms as a hungry ghost, in the animal realms, or even if you are born in a human realm, to be born in a condition of great suffering.
那刚刚讲到的是有这个很大的善业，也有这个喇嘛可以帮助这个超度的状况。那如果一个人的话呢，死亡了，但是他没有善业，没有任何善业，或者是没有足够的善业，也没有上师喇嘛的帮忙，这个人的意识呢，只会朝一个方向去。这个方向的话呢，可以是这个恶趣的这个地狱道。 也有可能是这个恶鬼道，也有可能是这个畜生道。就算是他投到人道的话呢，也会遭受非常多的这个痛苦。
근데 다 된자위게 나랑 속에 근데 바도 남시대라 카도 이어 남바 된지 짠이요 말했어요도스. 카도 남마다 세보마보 된대요 남바 히발라요 말했어. 아니 주 나서 주보는 이거 주요요 말했어. 카도 이어다 된지겠지 가서 그랬다. 나서는 시지잖아요 말했어. 공복고서 통미져서 저당 알아서 내시게 넘버 10바텔 요래데 이나야 나서는 시잖아요 말했어. 카도도 이어든데요 말했어.
So we also have to come to some realizations about our consciousness that's in the Bardo. We have a lot of preconceptions about it, but in reality, we have to come to the understanding that this consciousness, it has no color, it has no form, it has no sort of discernible identity.
那第二个呢，我们要了知我们的这个意识到底是什么样的状况。那意识的话呢，我们说是我们对它有很多先入为主的这个想法，但是其实意识呢是没有颜色。 没有形状，没有任何可以了知的这种状态的这个陈述的。
근데 농치라 다다 농친 바델룬두스 사자케 라마치가 송나 나랑 속에 바도가 남시대 지 림보 바돌론 처음 먹고야 야슈 지대 근데 가르사 마타바 야보 강타나 펜치부터 그랬어요도스 디지털지 마타바.
So if we study the Buddha Dharma, it has been taught by one great Sakya Lama that for the consciousness that does not wish to wander unguided in the Bardo, the best thing that we can study in this life is actually the concept of impermanence, and to study, practice, and come to understand that.
那一个有名的这个萨迦的这个祖师，他曾经讲过呢，就是当这个意识他不想去被别人帮助和指引，那对于这种人，我们应该怎么样来帮助呢？就是此生当中呢，就学习叫做无常这一个概念。
农지 나랑서 카히 로 첨부 로 자 간라 되는 종종에도 카히 보고 춘추 롱서 建종대에도 카히 로 마치 주지 되는 종종에도 가르치는 데레스라와 있나스.
And so whether it is a person who lives an extremely long life and passes away over the age of 100, or an unfortunate child who dies as an infant, or most of us who will pass away somewhere in between, and some even pass away during pregnancy, during their gestation, before they're even born into the world.
那我们要知道呢，我们在这个处在的这个状态当中呢，我们是没有寿命的这个特定的寿命的。什么意思呢？就是说有些人会活得非常长，超过100岁；有些人在婴儿时代就去世，有些人是在这个婴儿和老年之间去世，有些人甚至还没有出生，娘胎就在这个妈妈的肚子里面就去世了。
체야보 소마타야 근데 체다 레이다 스나무세 송예레 더 생각 세잖아 그냥 가서 중요하로 로치쇼 개차 말해스.
And so when we look at these possibilities of living a long life, a medium life, a short life, or not even making it through gestation, what is the cause of this? The cause comes from our previous lives, it comes from our karma, it comes from the merit that we have or have not created. This is actually what defines the length of our life.
那刚刚讲到有人是长寿，有人短命，有人甚至没有出生就死亡。那是什么样来决定这个所有的这个我们生命的长度呢？也就是我们过去世所做的行为，我们的业，以及我们有没有这个善业，所有的这些来决定的。
나랑서 consciousness에 간디지레스라나 빼나 농키 그 줌바는 이레세기도 스펙도니 히나 줌바고 롱소 요바텐도 그랬어.
So when we consider in this life, when we consider what is our consciousness, we should think about it like the clouds in the sky.
那我们这辈子来想什么是意识呢？我们要想说是天空中的云彩这样子的。
근데 임바테 맞소그 나바시바테 로동히레스.
We should also consider that our consciousness is like a light.
我们另外一个的话呢，要想我们的这个意识呢，就是像这种茫茫的这种状态。
근데 심바테 맞소그 나바시바테 르카는 마치 발라 사와나 이 발라노 히레스.
And thirdly, we should consider our consciousness is like the rushing waves of a stream or a river coming down from a mountain.
那另外呢，我们要想我们的意识呢，就是像这个急流的瀑布，从这个高山处呢，从上端急流而下的这种状态。
근데 텐자위케 나바시바테 나랑서 따바다 템바짠이 야마르세기도.
And so when we consider the nature of these three things and our mind like them, then we come to the conclusion that it is likewise impermanent. Impermanent as the cloud, impermanent as the light, impermanent as the movement of water.
텐자위케 나바시.
Come chico mo 재밌게 얘기해. 말을 하고 나라고. Go for it.
是，那我们刚刚讲的这三个，所以第二个是光，不好意思，所以说我们像云彩，我们的意识像云彩，我们的意识像光，我们的意识像这个急流瀑布。那这三样东西有什么特性呢？就是无常嘛。
다 텐자위케 나랑 속에지 근데 배텐딜이 샤비가 넘바시바 따바템바 짠에 메비게 센데이게 넘바시바지 sende ge chong chawi jela number shiba de shiwa lama tabi paru de la sende la number shiba de ngason tata yebi number shiba ina yang de gi kalsana chong chama ta da sha chama ta de number shiba de ge sende ge de no dan ga ne ta se shimi ge de bado ge nam shi de la de ngaro so tata kan de shebi bado se ya de de jila nga so she bado se na da bado se ya de jila ngi chi chapu
Sichinanga dunda yabo hakoma sonde metakpati the mitsege namshe dang shiki jelage namshi chikpa yena mena ngante yabo kuma
chipa teze mares tata kare na so som togre chapo roto ina ya padoka ga namshite tata namshi mare namshi den gan
datare okay danga hakosong yeah kadinche. Sorry, I was just checking to clarify. So when we consider that impermanence of our own consciousness, we need to take that into the context of our life in the Bardo. So our consciousness as it is in this life is not the same as it is after the moment of death as we go into the Bardo. So we must contemplate on impermanence like that.
那我们还有要知道，就是说我们的意识的，就是说在此生和此后的话呢，它不会是一样的状况，所以我们是非常要知道这个无常呢是很重要的。
teni tate bado se de ngone kare ba teres teni nyemba de la bado se de la ming nondro kase yore minda o kase yore sikinas
Minda okare?
minda ma bado la minda ma mombo yorwa
Minda malbo yorwa.
min nem soy
So, and then we look at what is the Bardo. There's actually a lot of different labels and names for the Bardo.
那我们讲什么是中阴呢？对于中阴，我们有很多名字，有很多分类啊、标签。
你同步的啦，Six Bardos呢，还是Six Bardos呢？俺说个错年呢，错可能，你说的那么些的啦，Six Bardos都是。
Sorry, this is a slightly difficult topic. Six Bardo the So the first of these we call Six Bardo, and this is based on our feeling. This is a Bardo that is based on feeling.
好，那我们讲中阴呢，我们讲的第一个中阴的类型呢，是根据我们的这个感受，就是受来这个产生的这个中阴。
tene nimba tela chasa pado seni koso kala tanje saya mara ne na no chuma ne ri chinro ne tende chinam hido de tela chasa pado se.
And then another one is for those who kind of desire things and they smell maybe a good smell or food and they kind of are seeking it out in that way. That's called Six Bardo.
他讲的这第二个这个中阴呢，就是对于这些有欲望的人，就比如说闻到好吃的食物，会被它的香味去吸引，甚至会去主动追寻的第二种的这个类型。
tene tena shinga spa pama se de shiwa la ma thon khen ke ani saya tende mara ne taga se ni cham denge nam hitela spa patos kasa spa pama patos.
Spa pama pato konso gegosa dendero. And I just want to clarify on something I said earlier. These are different titles for experiences of the Bardo. So like different ways of experiencing it. Sorry about that. So then Six Bardo is for the experience of those. They're not necessarily tempted by the smells of foods and things like that, but instead they're grasping to be reborn.
那刚刚就是前面讲的有一个不对，讲的不是说类型，就是说经历中阴的时候会有什么样的感受，是这样子的。那第一个就是有会被这个味道所吸引的。第二个讲的话呢，就是说他不会被这些味道和欲望所吸引，但是他想赶快的投胎的这种感觉。
呢，他生把得了，俺让做先内巴多生，先内巴多生呢，俺让做了俺些、这些、公些，这些是需要也有的，晓得了。啊，你得了，俺些生呢，阿妈个不够强的。 ngani pego no ya de la ngache se zishe se na hlado guru rumbo de so zishe ila guru ba je ne zishe se ni shate so go gonga ni sa nyane ni gonga na la kale chine take to ne gonga che go zishe se ngache zishe zishe gongshe se gonga no ba take to ne jiwa chi gonga to ne gongshe se gonga te so shal che go ba zishe se na hlado chi che ya chi che. So
there are 4 kinds of birth, One is to be born from a mother's womb. The second is to be born miraculously, like we've seen of Guru Rinpoche and the gods and the deities. The third is to be born the gonga nerva, from an egg, like a bird or a lizard. Aishiba? And then the fourth is to be born like from a root almost, like a plant in a way.
那我们讲过，就是说自然当中呢有4种受生的状况。第一种叫胎生，就是从我们的娘胎当中出生；第二种叫做幻生，就是叫做化生，也就是像这个我们讲的莲花生大师，很多神呐，这个上帝就是这个化身而现。第三种呢叫做暖生，也就是从鸡蛋，像鸡的蛋呐，蛋壳里面出生。第四种叫做湿生，就是从湿，就是潮湿的湿，有这个就是湿的地方出生这样。
Jene tsawane gena de donta yapo hagoga mare sa sonson.
Tele jebasena, tele jesena ngaronso pena ane charanke hinkanala sabetana, sabet tsabochena, chombochini yapo nyawaina, and ribate jegurwa.
Metok tanjaworba. Metok tanjaworba.
Medu tower, chipachichare. Then I see tsabochina. Yana gonga te amale machiwache, tele jewa. Penangin de ola gonga na ni gonga kale jegere sha jegerwa shatu de teshe sigere tele penangaron to tane zupola hiore hi butinde zupola jeore de teshe
ale tane mide de chua de kandes medo tanjawo ge ayore sa
ni de koron de da koroni la amani tuni ani jegere jen jodo jenji.
Okay, so this does not necessarily refer to the specific actual moment of birth, but the way to answer the question in the chat, which was, what do you mean by to be born from a root? So this is actually referring to the way of the birth from the Bardo. We're not necessarily referring to the actual specific form of gestational and labor and birth. So this can be the way in which the person connects and makes what will then later become a physical birth. So sorry for the slight confusion there. I'm also new to all of this, but I hope that answered your question.
那刚刚有人在群里面问什么叫做或者说叫做根生呢？那这边仁波切按的回答就是说，这个根生或者湿生的话呢，不是说非要通过这个某一个媒介，就像是我们的这个胎盘来受生的话呢，它只是不需要一个分娩的过程就可以出生的这样的一种状况呢，是我们叫做根生或者叫做湿生。
那我做个number 7다 가르선 number 7카도도 예트디 요 말에데 야나 아론서 바도그 넘히데 간디지 요레슬라마스.
So we've already established that the consciousness doesn't have like a color or a defining shape or anything like that. So how do we define it in the Bardo? How do we understand it?
那我们刚刚不是说这个意识没有任何的形状，没有任何的颜色吗？那我们在中音当中怎么能认出它呢？怎么来这个知道它呢？
게아마사 요나 게아마보사 디파마사나 딘지 도주고네 나로서 노와라 드라마단 챙게 요레데 노안 차완네히 델라 딘데 요마르세.
So whether we are a person who has abandoned sin and done many good deeds, or a person who has abandoned good deeds and done many sins, the consciousness doesn't actually have an image.
那对于两类人，一种是不做善业只做恶业的人，或者根本不做恶只做善业的人，对于两种人来说呢，这个意识的话呢，都没有任何的这个图片可以去看的。
드린 손소라 나서고 나와라 다드링아 냐와라 제송 손에 아니 동아 뭐냐야 드링아 이달라 제송 손에 아니 사야다 동야던데 그 콤비 그냥 동아 냐와 이다 드린 손소가 던로를 지와라 손손네 아니 던로 동아 던데 예와대서 손아 나서 나와샤 되려마도 나와샤 난시게 달라 던데 바도가 넘실라 요마르스.
So we might have a lot of worries thinking like, oh, I am going to be born in hell and undergo so much suffering, or I'm going to be born as a hungry ghost and constantly be starving and thirsty. And we almost might create an image in our mind of what we think that the consciousness of the Bardo looks like, but there is no image of this. It is imageless.
go ahead. Sorry. 所以我们很多人会非常担心，就是说我要去到这个地狱道受各种各样的痛苦，或者我会被就是说升到这个恶鬼道呢，经历很多的饥饿和这个渴，那或者我们变成动物等等等等的，我们会在心中呢产生这样子的这个影像啊，去想象它。当然，真正的这个中医或者我们的意识呢，是完全没有影像的，没有影像可以描述的。
아니 총소라 나랑소게 바덕 남시대 되네 가르세고래 아니 힌두 메레 친도와 동동고 넘바타고 요나 예달라시나 쳇다고 던줄라시나 두와다고 되네 멀레제와이나 세다고 살레제나 노고 차와세다 대소 노완 차와 통화데 남신몰은 차대야 참아데 개와다 무게와니게 휴지고니 개와이나 된다고 냐와이다 던로고 넘마차고 두스
But sometimes if we have a lot of non-virtuous actions in our background, we can sort of create images, and these will be images of like different things in the different births, of whether it's hellish things or the temptations of hungry ghosts, or the and so these images can be generated by virtue of negative actions, but they are hallucinatory images.
有一个特例的话呢，就是说当一个人非常的这个恶，就是说他没有任何的善业，全是做了非常多的恶业的时候，这个时候由于他的恶业的这个力量呢，它会有这个影像会出现这个地狱道的这个影像，或者出现这个恶鬼道的影像。那这些影像的话呢，就是由于它的业所造成的。
네 개와 휴침보인데 소소 그 개와 야보 영라 야보 제나 디 휴지고네 왜 까보 개위 또지고네 대소가 되는 야와에다 던로거다 그래서 둥아 담마다 뭐예와 나와 짠 차게요 말에 소소배 가래이나 대화다 신다가 너무 차게요래 담 먹게와 뭐고 지야와 때네 되네 가르쳐 그래 된지그 둥이가 하신 나와 뭐 차게요래 드리체데 다들행아서 바도께 지시고 이래다 마음방아서 바도를 근데 마요야라 다다내가서 개야야 붙고 그래 양라야 차고 이랬어.
However, if you do good deeds, the power of your good deeds can overpower all of these possible negative images that might arise during the period of the Bardo as a confusion and as a terror. So we should definitely consider this as one of the motivations for why, oh, I should really do good deeds in this life. It's going to have an important effect.
那另外一个知道的就是说，我们的这个善业啊，我们做的好事的力量的话呢，它可以翻转我们这个负面的这个恶业所给我们的产生的刚刚讲的这种影像，这种影像呢会让我们变得非常的迷惑。那所以说这可以大家可以把这个作为一个很好的动机呢，来这个让自己说哦，我一定要做好事，因为这个是会帮助我们的，这样子来想。
아니 다다라 써놨더니 나 라마 지거로가 지게래 나랑 치아고 맞는 지게래 라마 야보요 나 주보 라마 문보요 코상하로가 지게래 나 가야 제거 말했으니 대주보 말다 소소게 냐라 야보 마치바이나 라마 치보부터네 여러가 제타요 말했으니까 돈이 받도.
Now, a lot of people think it's okay, I don't have to do so much practice. You know, I help out the lamas, and I've got so many lamas who are my friends, and they'll take care of me, so everything will be fine. And so they don't do practice. But in reality, this is a huge mistake. You need both. So it's good to have the lamas as your friend, and it's good to serve the lamas, but you also need to have the practice from your own side. These two combined will be what manage to serve you in the Bardo.
那有些人会想说，那我就不用做修持，不用修法，我只要说跟很多喇嘛交朋友，他们会帮我。那这种想法呢是不对的。其实你需要两者都需要，一个是呢，当然有很多这个跟上师服侍上师，让上师这个做扮成他的利益。 另外一方面的话呢，我们也需要自己去修持的。
네 카히가 사나 어당아도 라마 몸보자는 녀라야고 녀라 휴침보데 토토 가이나 나 지침보 시그레 라마를 좀 피샤와이나 라마 코로나가 처만 된다고 그래 나 같이 그 말에 집중하려 되는 연구를 했잖아 대형 왔다스
아 연주치 소노난데 잘람이 아포 차마서
뭐 카히가 소노 땅돌라 나 지침보 시위 이 라마를 좀 피니 라마가 나 니 바돌은 처음 먹어야 된다고 그래 리소노 땅바이나 대형 알았으나 아다지 말했어
카인스나 호전 냠len chega mare mambo chiba pyore yin 냠len chega mare tendera. Okay. And other people will think, oh, I have nothing to worry about because I make so many offerings. I have been so generous to the lamas. But again, they've abandoned practice. And likewise, this alone cannot serve you in the Bardo.
那有一些大师就说啊，那我不需要担心的，我供养了好多钱，给这个上师，我是非常的布施，很厉害。但这些在中阴当中没有办法帮你的。
근데 이나야 자위의 소소녀는 제 라메게 근데 바도 깔라 바도 못해 나가는 이 그리고 초갈란데네 네 개와사 근데 가시고 수다 가시고 네 동아시아 바다 멜람들이 되나야 자석자 팽그래 이나야 소소게야 대난시치 바도는 좀 먹어야 차지치니 인자도 보고요.
So while the lamas can be your guide, they can give you an introduction to the Bardo, they can help you. You also need to do the practice, do the prayers, do the work from your own side. And these two coming together will be what successfully guide you through the Bardo.
那刚刚讲过，就是上师会作为指引，告诉你在中阴当中应该怎么做。另外一方面的话呢，你需要做祈祷文，需要修持，这两者合一的话呢，才能真正在你死亡临终中阴的时候帮助你。
근데 나도 가르쳐 버려 바도 그 값을라 시동 가르쳐 버렸다 지피 그 자이요 뇽아와 용사 송세네 지피 그 자이요랬어 나로도 자야 뭔가 제약이 된다 이요랬어.
Now at the time when we're in the Bardo, there are 4 great terrors that people encounter.
那在这个真正的中阴当中呢，我们会遇到4种这个非常大的这个叫做坎坷吧，或者说这个情境我们会遭遇的。
근데 담보때 알아서 바도 값을라 어르신들이 많이 해야 그 노화를 샤 생기다고 사요야 생기다고 주비가 되게 가르쳐 버려. 근데 당 알아서
First is images of wild beasts, terrifying wild beasts like vicious lions, coming and swarming us.
第一个呢，我们会遭遇这种怪兽，就是非常凶猛的怪兽来追逐或者要撕咬我们。
근데 님한테 잔치고 발라던데 그 칠라던데 이오네 최첨보던데 칠로라고 주 최첨보던데 마사 최첨보나 사소송이 그 딘지게 온지나지요라스.
The second is massive tsunami-like waves crashing over us and threatening to drown us.
那第二个现象呢，就是像这个海啸一样，这个非常巨大的风浪呢冲向我们，要把我们吞没，这是第二个现象。
근데 심바데 마차 흰 나자 흰한데 이 멜치니 근데 메테서 메가 넘바냐다 롱오를 샤네 온지다 지랑고 근데 심바지요라스.
The third is like a massive forest fire with flames all around and even threatening to crash down on top of us.
第三个景象的话呢，是这个烈火，就是烧得非常的猛烈的，就是要把我们吞没的这种景象。
근데 휴바데를 롱수 휴침보 근데 노알라 샤네 롱수고 거래 소소 가르서 롱고 노라 최소 소네오 지남 근데 지제가 그랬어.
And the fourth is massive winds like a tornado or hurricane threatening to even rip us off the ground.
四大的现象，第四个呢就是飓风，就是特别大的这个风呢吹上我们，要把我们吹飞的这种风的这个现象。
된다고 시대라 나랑서 바도고 가서라 근데 지피 드라이어스 지파스나다 나랑서 근데가 몽타 제사다 노알라 차네 근데 트라피코네 온 시요레스.
So these are the 4 great images of terror that people tend to experience in the Bardo.
这就是我们讲的，就是说这四大的这个分解的时候，我们会遭遇的这种四种的这个景象。
Tene yang ave yongsa song se na o tende ke jinong shesa da tranong chesa song yores.
가르섬이요래?
Yongsa song.
연차 세네티즈레.
Yongsa sena da karse gore desha hedon tumuso.
고츠마 송고다.
Pena desha ke gone yon soso karse re tene karse gore ta. Pena nomala soso ke desha hedo tumuso mugewa mobochi yawa ina de toji gone tene bado go kapsala tene soso on karse gore desha hyuchumbo toji gone yo nyawa yendala jendo ya tumugo gone soso on karse na ni yendala jendo ya hedang gone yo on karse gore pena hada lama yan tatse goya tende ge dunga nyo goya ota tende ge desha hedo tumuso mugewa chi yawa la tene rebirth yo karse gore namshitela tene dunga sung jong gore sita tenda dunga.
And then the consciousness will experience may experience one of three forms of suffering depending on the kind of non-virtuous deeds that it did in life. So for example, if it did many hateful things, then it might experience some of the sufferings of hell. If it was constantly jealous, it will experience the sufferings of the devas, etc.
那就是根据这个意识的话呢，它会有不同的这种痛苦的显象，根据你以前所造的恶业。那如果是一个经常有恨意的人呢，会感受到这个地狱道的这种显象。那如果你是经常嫉妒的人的话，就会感受到这种就是嫉妒的这种现象，不同的恶业所致。
变着差异呢，活动学全部也有达到我是活动被学全部也呢，没给我活动没不见呢，是吧？我开始多么难下的 attachment。 那这个变呢，诉讼恐怕了差，怕嘛了差，就弄了差吧呢。第到就过呢，把到个kapsa了，等你别个什么30倍，就叫30倍养好啊，等你了嘛3周呀，等你给弄一下呢，扎个有了是。
So, for example, let's say that in this life, the major source of our non-virtuous actions was attachment. We were constantly attached to our nice home or jewels or things like that. Then in the Bardo, we might experience the hallucinatory terror of being in a very difficult place where you can't get the things that you want and where you're struggling to get what you want and what you need.
那再举一个例子，就是如果我们此生当中呢有巨大的执着，就是贪爱我们的这个房子也好，我们的珠宝首饰也好，那这种人呢在死亡的时候呢，他会感受到去到一个荒芜的地方，就是在那个地方什么都没有，没有你想要的东西，那就会非常痛苦，想要得到自己却得不到的这种体现。
신화자복이 타야 시디레 소소기 남신안라 요래 ngoma bartona yoresa.
소소게 바도 값살라 소소라 남시 그 ngola 소소 남시 그 ngola 된다 나wan 차게 요래스.
So to answer the question, are these terrors generated by our conscious or somehow present in the Bardo? These are things that are generated in front of us by our consciousness by virtue of our own previous non-virtuous actions.
那有人问说，我们刚刚产生的这种恐惧的话呢，是我们的意识产生的话呢，还是说就是中阴期间的元素产生的？那该中介回答的话呢，是我们此生刚刚所说了所造的行持所产生的。
근데 선바테 맞아 두무 휴체와 빼나고 히랍 매바 아니 말이 봐도 못 봤다 두무 휴체와라 때네 근데 나론서 바도 값을 가와는 드러나 가와 라반 청고야 가르소노 동고야 하마고 같은데 강에 뭐 망이 봐서 하마고 같은데 강에 뭐 냐면서.
If on the other hand the source of our non-virtue was ignorance, then we can expect to see images in the Bardo where wherever we go we feel confused. Where am I going? What am I doing? I'm just this constant sense of terror by virtue of confusion.
那如果我们此生当中最大的特点是这个愚痴的话呢，那我们到了中阴期间呢，就会非常的困惑，就是我现在干嘛，我要去哪里，怎么做，他们就不知道该怎么行使的这种状况。
근데 근데 값을라 Teni ngaron soge ngamala soso lama yapa tena tedi kapsula lama tengu yo sares ki ata ngaron so lama pe ya lama yapa tena padogo kapsula teni chanon jino shuna ti kasa chanon jino mashiwa soso lama tena ni chanon jino pa mendo yo sares.
Yeah. On the other hand, if during this life we generate a great deal of devotion towards our lamas, even when we're in the Bardo, we will remember our lama, and the power of remembering our lama will dispel these hallucination terrors.
那所以说，此生我们来意念或者对上师升起信心非常的重要，因为如果我们能够对根本上师升起足够的信心，那在这个死亡中阴的时候呢，升起这种信心的这种信念呢，就会让刚刚所说的所有的这些影像还有这个恐惧呢都消散。
您把的一当个话，别的一当个话是呢，大家俺让做写日子娘来接，做嘛娘来接，我个人不就娘来接个人呢？第一个是巴多个是刚刚这个人呢，拉玛要成一当个话的时候要成百人呢，等你等这个用啊的，你用强的为啥的是？
Likewise, if in our life we manage to generate a very good practice of our yidam, of our root meditational deity, whether that's Avalokiteshvara or Tara or Padmasambhava, doesn't matter. At the point when we're in the Bardo, likewise with remembering the Lama, we will also be able to remember our yidam, and by the power of that, we will be able to dispel these hallucinatory terrors.
那另外的话呢，就是说在此生当中呢，我们尽力呢去专修一个本尊。不管是莲花生大师，或者是观音菩萨，或者是度母，那只要是我们像刚刚意念上师一样同样的功德，如果我们能专修此类本尊，修得有成效，那在这个中阴当中呢，通过他们的对他们的意念呢，也能够去除刚刚所说的这样的痛苦还有恐惧。
等你等这个是巴多个是了，他都不能个的，也不能个的，都不能话当起，俺让个弄把西巴的出来人个上面，等你这个是了，说那杨家当过也是的是。
So at this point, having pushed through this by the power of our devotion to the Lama and the Yidam, we can sit there and go, okay, so whatever these images are that I'm seeing, whether they're good images or whether they're bad images, they're just manifestations of my own consciousness. And we can realize that while in the Bardo.
那我们刚刚讲的就是说，通过对这个上师的意念或者本尊的意念呢，我们能知道，不管是好或者坏的景象呢，都是我们意识当中显现出来的，在中阴当中能够知道。
이 값을 봐도 남아시바 값을 화도 뭐도 가르 남아이나 그래서 처음에 누포도 야포서나 마도 쩌는 마도 그래서 참아든 로아 가르 나와요 참아 사이가 넘바도 쉐이가 넘바도 되게 나와 강고에 살아서 대 값을
상망은 저게
내가 봐도 그 값을 알아서
상망 남식이 출발와
어때서 처음에 너한테 받전이 사이 넘바전이 되게 강고에 살아서.
So at that point, we can take, once we come to that realization, we can take these images, whether they're good or whether they're bad, and we can flip them into becoming the divine images.
那我们那个时候呢，就能够有怎样的运用呢？就通过意念本尊和上师的话呢，我们就可以把好的现象或者是坏的现象呢，我们可以把它用来这个转为这个道用。
对了，你送的是脑啊汤气化。
So meditating on the image of the deity.
第一个是这个本尊的影像。
And visualizing oneself as completely inseparable from one's root teacher and from one's meditational deity.
就是说自己本身的话呢，跟自己的根本上师以及我们的本尊是无二无别的。
And then by extension, whatever one says becomes the mantra of the deity.
那另外的话呢，就是所有的声音呢，都是这个本尊的咒语。
아니 영나 가르세고래 상지의 정주 삼바 대소게 사전라고 된지게 제도 탐체대 지라네다 타체스 지라세나다 고 땀니그라시.
Then once you've again come into this realization and then understanding everything, all of these other thoughts around you as being empty, you can generate the bardo around you as Dewachen or as Guru Rinpoche's copper-colored mountain or whatever the pure land of your practice deity may be, and generate it as that around you.
然后呢，就是说了知到所有的这些显现，刚刚说的情况呢，都是空性的这个本质。那这样子的话呢，我们就可以把我们所经历的所有的显现呢，都观想成你所修本尊的坛城，不管是阿弥陀佛的极乐净土，或者是莲花生大师的同色山等等。
他第一个把第你查起过现在的忙这些都你巴多些巴多个南啦巴多出个呢些你巴多的开切出来的第一个意思。
So of everything I tell you today, this idea of everything we see in the Bardo being purely a manifestation, this might be the key and most important thing that I tell you.
今天跟大家讲的所有的这些呢，有一个关键，一个窍诀是什么呢？就是说，所有的这些中阴，我们能够感受的、看见的这些，所有都是一个化显，这个是非常重要的去了解。
And so of these 6 Bardos, the first and the last are the two that are most important.
所以刚刚讲的这个6个状况当中呢，就是第一个和最后一个是最重要的。
In fact, once you know these first and last ones, all of the Bardos that we're going to discuss in the middle are in a way encased within them and therefore don't need to be discussed in detail.
那所有的6个中阴，刚刚讲的第一个和第6个最重要，那中间的这4个呢，都是他们的另外一个版本，那类似的就不需要再去花时间去细讲。
So Teresa, okay, I request to you, Dean Bardo, can you share? Or second Bardo, which one?
And Rinpoche kirana chik lagi chutu druta kama nishu jaja negedu chutu druta kama nishu de kiran so chutu sunda kama nishu pache nga jogore kainsana nga amala kala sogore amanagdu kiran hakosora.
Yes.
Ngala chutu chik zangyu. Yeah.
Okay. Number 4, can you read, Amalaya? Number 4.
Number 4 or Dirba? Danta de Bardo of Dreaming?
No, Bardo of the birth and life.
So can we pull up the previous slide?
Just you read first.
Yeah, I'm trying to get it visual. Technology, so much fun. Hold on one moment, everyone. I'm sorry for the delay. The Bardo of birth and life, our experience between the moment of birth or conception and the last breath before death as the mind stream leaves the physical form. Understanding this gives us context for our lives. Knowing our ultimate destination, we can plan our lives accordingly. To experience this Bardo as a human being is a rare opportunity. Mahayana means let's make the best of this opportunity together.
第一个大家看那个桌面上的幻灯片，就是讲的这个生或者说此生的这个中阴，什么意思呢？就是说我们的经验在这个出生以及死亡中间的这个状况的话呢，是我们意识的续留在我们现在这个物质或者说肉身上。那了解这个呢，就会给我们这个自己的生活呢，知道我们的生命要去到哪里，我们就可以来计划自己的这个生命。那去了知到，就是说中阴作为人类这一辈子呢，是非常难得的这个机会，就是说身为人。所以作为大乘的修行而言的话呢，此生的中阴是非常的这个珍贵的，我们需要做好事。
So second Bardo, you have Dream Bardo. Can you show me Dream Bardo? Amalaya, can you read Dream Bardo?
Sure, once it pops up on my screen.
Yeah. the difficult.
The Bardo of dreaming, our experience between the moment we become conscious in a dream and the moment we wake up. This Bardo is part of the Bardo of birth and life. This Bardo is an important part of our practice. At first, it is used as a metaphor to understand the emptiness of our ordinary everyday life experience as taught by the Buddha himself, Virupa, and other great masters. Later, it is used as an opportunity to practice and refine advanced meditation techniques and yoga practices.
第二个讲的是叫做睡梦中阴。睡梦中阴指的就是说我们入睡有意识，但是是在做梦以及醒来之间的这个情况。那我们这个睡梦中阴呢，其实是刚刚讲的自然中阴或此生中阴的一部分。那这个睡梦中阴对于我们的修持来非常的重要，它分2点。第一点的话呢，它可以作为一个比喻或者类似的例子呢，让我们来了知我们的日常的生活，就你醒着的时候的生活的空性和这个睡梦中阴是一样的。那这个呢是佛陀他本身对我们的教导的一个事情，以及像毗卢巴还有其他的大德。那第二个用处的话呢，就是让我们在之后的高级修持当中呢，可以利用睡梦中阴来修持。
Okay, Therese, then I just little bit mention that for you. Tanita malong pato seadre dos. Malong pato seade ngaron so tata nyane nabashipa de ni rapate ngane ni shokele ya mi message patala sanka ning joya tela ngaron ji teme ja ni pajando be wa yidi tinti nabashipa tela malong pato seadres.
So when we talk about the Bardo of dreaming, we're discussing the consciousness at the point between falling asleep and waking up, which often does not even remember the waking world.
我们刚刚讲的这个睡梦中阴的话呢，就是说很多人做梦然后再醒来，那很多人其实都不太记得，就是说有什么样的情况。
Okay, please, I just stop. Okay, you back. Okay, good. Now you know, right, this subject, Dream Bardo. Dream Bardo is Malong Nola, the Malong Momboyo, the Inatadanga, so Bardo Malong Shiras.
So when we talk about the dream Bardo, there's so many different dreams, but right now we're talking about the dream as a Bardo.
Three Gondala Manyani, Sony Shoke, Bardo, Malom Nala, Sonsala, Malom Ducha Migre, Malayapoyo Migres.
So for example, if we talk about tonight, from the moment we go to sleep until the moment we wake up, whether it's good dreams or bad dreams.
那我们这边讲的这个睡梦中阴的话，就是我们今天晚上去睡觉和明天早上醒来中间你会做梦，那是做的好梦还是噩梦？讲的是这个。
Malayapo Migre, Ani Karsana, Moache, Malamche, Swatap, Tindigtone, Moate, Yani Yandala. Watching a yapoyers. More Malong to turn out in a tender with Maombala, Mimiala, and it's also Karsawore, and a Townchat Karsawore. Mamiala, and did our Malong the Mamia shoes and Malam Japo.
If we have a good dream, we should take this as a good opportunity for prayer. And if we have a bad dream, then we should pray that we don't have more bad dreams in the future.
那如果是一个好梦的话呢，我们可以以此机会的话呢，来这个回向。那如果是一个坏的梦呢，我们就可以也是说祈愿自己以后不要有这样子的情况出现。
And Malonga Nala, Malonga Pato said, number shipate, Tatanga Ronso, Mishimini, you are the Chipachare, Tatana Hichi, Pato Gas Malam Telaya, Tatana Shiji Chipachicha, Migo Inaya, Tata the Tete Mandawa Karayor Selana, Malam Kapsala, and a Patoki, Namshi the Pen Chawayoris.
So the consciousness that we have in a dream, technically it is the same consciousness that we have right now, because it's this consciousness that we have in the Bardo of life from the moment of birth until the moment of death. So technically it is the same as that, but it's also different because it is much more subtle when it is in the dream state.
那我们刚刚讲的睡梦当中的意识呢，和我们现在所处的这个自然中阴的这个意识呢，是一个意识，因为它都是从这个出生到死亡当中的这个状态。但是呢，它和我们现在的这个意识呢，有一点点区别是什么呢？就是说在睡梦当中的意识呢，更加的细微。
Malamian Sansolo Bardo Casala, Tada She Bardo, the Kitchen, but Chichante, and the Malango Bardo Casala, Yunguyores.
So a lot of what we've discussed when we've talked about the Bardo of birth and all that discussion we had actually applies in the same way to the Bardo of dreaming.
那我们刚刚所讲的这个投胎中阴的所有的情况呢，和这个我们的睡梦中阴完全是一样的模式。
So now we've gone from the Bardo of dreaming and we can work on the third Bardo.
那我们刚刚讲了这个前2个，那我们开始第3个中阴。
The Bardo of becoming. Based on our karma, we will be born again and again in different bodies and in different places. This Bardo refers to the experience between death and rebirth. What we do today will affect us in this Bardo and in the future, so let's be careful.
这个第3个讲的是叫做这个禅定中阴，就是说，因为我们的业的话呢，我们会再次的受身不同的身体、不同的地方。那这个中阴呢，指的就是说死亡和出生之间的这个状况。那我们现在所作所为呢，对我们到时候有这个绝对的影响，所以我们要非常的小心。
So the third is this Bardo of becoming.
Yeah, and Six Bardo sayate to become sayate. Karsena, not so tombo she. Any Tata Kantane gay, any Taman Chindwa and Shinke, any Bardo Kapsalaya, any Shia Damada Mombole, any Shia Lambi Castle, or Parula, Shia and the Lane Damada Mombasa, any Tamatela, any Castle, Yona Dendroto, Yona Nansology, Yona Pamale. Because Bardo Casalaya, Tatanga on some Mashingela country, Yevan Nashinke, any Sipi Bardo Kalaya, Tena Hichago.
So when we talk about the Bardo of becoming, we're talking about this Bardo that occurs before and up until birth. And there are many different ways in which this can go, and it can go to all different ways leading to all different births. So this is what we are discussing here.
抱歉，刚刚讲的这个是法性中阴，不是禅定中阴。那法性中阴的话，就是死亡到出生之间的这个状况，也是我们最需要去了解的。所以今天的重点在这边。
And now we are going to go on to the fourth Bardo, and the fourth Bardo is. I'm trying to find the proper English word for it. It's going to come up on the screen. I know we're all waiting with great excitement. The Bardo of Meditation. The Bardo of Meditation refers to the experience of samadhi. We practice meditation in order to experience this state, but it requires a great amount of cultivation to achieve. May all of us attain the state of the Bodhisattva and then manifest our original Buddhahood.
那第4个讲的这个是禅定中阴啊，禅定中阴的话呢，就是我们进入三摩地的这种经验。我们来修持禅修呢，是为了要我们修持禅修的目的就是为了要体验这个禅定中阴啊，但是这个需要很大的努力来达到的。所以愿我们所有的人呢都能够证得这个菩萨地，然后呢能够了知自己的这个佛性。
Tene ta sante Bardo sayate, Tatangi Katari Kani Shivana Shinke, Jitenla, Naransoke, Poa Joyaka. Tene Poa Jamne, Lord Karsawar de Gamcheata. Teno Shiko Pato Motet, the Lama Titsavi Chila, Nimaration the Pato Motet and Danny, the so Lola Sama, Niva Sotoya, Rumbanimba, and his sympathy, and in Azanam Chila, she need the Hanton Yabo Gontaya. He Kala. Ani kasa tada de jasi laleto lojon tenduma te soke sono tamne tani te khala shanchu senda nije ani tamye tendi yapo gamthaga yana tani Bardo ko kapsala semba pe tempo semba temba sabo temba yabo chathela kantu.
So when we look at the Bardo of meditation, there are many different practices within this. Of course, we've already discussed the practice of Poa and meditational practices that you receive, the empowerments and the instructions from a Lama. Those are ones that you must practice with great diligence. Then, of course, there is calm, abiding meditation and Vipassana, or contemplative meditation. But the point of all of these is that you must practice them until your mind becomes very stable and very clear.
那刚刚讲的这个禅定中阴就怎么样来达到呢？当然我们刚刚讲的坡瓦法是一种，另外一个呢就是我们从上师处接受的灌顶教授，包括止观毗婆舍那的所有的这些禅修呢，都需要很大的努力的话呢，最后让自己的心呢达到一种非常稳定、非常光明清楚的一种状况。
And the fifth Bardo is the Bardo of death.
那第5个中阴呢，就是叫做临终中阴。
And the Bardo of dying, or the moment of death, as everything that is born must eventually die, we will all experience the Bardo of dying again, as we have many times before. Buddhist practice helps us to prepare for this experience, gives us tools to help ourselves and others at that time. Remembering that this will happen to us and everyone we know can encourage us to practice diligently.
第5个叫做临终中阴，就是死亡的那一刻。就是说所有出生的东西呢，最终都会死亡，所以我们所有人都会要经历这个死亡中阴我们已经经历过很多次了以前，所以佛法的修持呢是帮助我们来准备这一刻的到来，给我们很多工具来帮助我们，还有其他在这一刻当中怎么样的善生。所以说我们一定要记住这个死亡会永远会来到我们，所以所有人都要非常鼓励自己和他人呢精进的去这个准备和修持。
So when it comes to the Bardo of death, obviously we're not experiencing that right now because we're all here, but it is something that we need to think about for the future.
当然死亡中阴呢我们记不住，现在也没有在经历，但是我们是为未来准备。
So we should always think about, eventually I'm going to go, I'm going to die. But what we should really think when we think this is, how can I make it so that when I go, when I die, it's done in the right way?
所以我们要知道，就是所有人都会死是的，那我们要怎么样来准备呢？才能这个正确的死，或者怎么样去有意义的去这个接受这一刻的到来呢？
做切修的说给查验没吧？你 normal 的查验没吧？热了查验没吧？等那新给说给你年着的说了查验没吧？等这个说了咱呢没比多呢，趁着个搞死了送白银呢，你爬到牙学的都的是。
讲到查验没吧是呢？
查验没吧？现查 attachment。
So the way I think about it when I contemplate the possibility, the future of my death Bardo, is that I should not build strong attachments, whether it is strong attachments to family or to friends or to loved ones or to anything around me. That attachment is not proper.
那仁波切说，我对于这个死亡的准备呢，我是怎么样来想的话呢？就是说我不可以对此生有执着，不管是执着自己的家人、朋友，所有的事物呢，我要放下这种执着。
等于老贵也就在看了一些的，开心去爬到搞死了，但么中么着天了，你闹下呢，你恐怕考，你考，你别下考，你就喏，你考了有的时呢，你闹了下呢，你考上了爬到，你。 Longa ducha tene le togo yore. Tende chede So
part of the reason why it's so important to generate non-attachment in this life is because at the moment that the Bardo of death comes, we're going to get all of those hallucinatory images that we discussed before. But our mind, our consciousness is going to be thinking, where's my house? Where's my car? Where's my wealth? Where's all of these things that I want? And being distracted by all of these hallucinatory images that we've generated through attachment, we will take a bad path in the Bardo, which will lead to a bad rebirth.
那为什么我们说不可以有执着，特别是在就是临终的时候要放下这些执着呢？就是刚刚讲过，我们临终会看到很多景象。那如果你心中有执着的话，你的意识还在想啊，我的房子在哪里，我的老婆在哪里，我的财产在哪里？所以这个时候的话呢，你的心就会迷乱，就会去到一个错的地方，容易走失。
아니 가서 친구들이 값살아 샘바 바트로 데보치네 바돌지나야 바돌 지르모 데마고아 안 토리 라드미 컴포토야 송지지 컴포토야 디그토라 팬도 침보예데 딘디 다다네 가서 로 장고요스.
So if we can from now on start to reduce our attachment, this will have a great benefit in the Bardo of death when we die, so that we spend less time there and so that we can instead generate the desire towards Buddhahood and towards becoming a bodhisattva and then towards being reborn in a Pure Land.
所以说呢，我们大家都应该在此生当中呢，就减低对所有的这些对境的执着。这样子的话呢，我们在死亡来的时候呢，才有更加的机会。还有我们现在呢，也有更多的时间去准备，去升到这个净土，怎么样利益他人。
다다네가 저 로야포트네 정 현참 뉴르타마토이나 니 춘조이 내가라 바도 값살아 다다가로 저노 초마데 노알란 차네 바치 침보 가서 시와래라 바치 침보 연구요래 근데 제리처럼 non-TC 진다고요나 zon랭이 제예나야 걔 제가 말하면 처마 집에치 좀 들진 조고요래 대지는 알아야 근데 지도그래 삼네 다다네 알아서 포와장 로장 바도 못했장 아니 가서는 감뭐 못자 타바이나 아니 맞잖아 가서라 종조의 지라 아니 바도데 랑송 지치나 샤포니 손에 조만 타드네 대화제 힐을 제토야 조만 타들러 성지선비 랑로 제토야 조만 타드 밀리야보 토토야 땡데 그쳐봐야지.
So if we don't do this and instead get distracted, obviously this won't be beneficial. But if we can maintain focus, and then in this life, if we can do things like study Poa and learn it very well, study meditation and learn to stabilize our mind, do our practice very well so that our mind becomes much more clear, then at the moment of death, by using these practices and what we've learned, we can circumvent much of the problems of the Poa and instead go, straight up to Dewa Chen as we learn through the Poa, and go straight on to the path of the Bodhisattva without any of these obstacles. And also be able to achieve a good human life as a rebirth.
所以说呢，我们要排除所有的这些干扰啊，还有这些分散我们注意力的东西。此生呢，一定要非常好的去修持这个破瓦法，知道怎么修它，修出成效。另外一个呢，要好好的修持我们的禅修，我们所有的这些修持。所以在死亡来临的时候呢，才能够帮助我们去到这个净土啊。然后呢，当然如果真的是受生到这个人道呢，也会有一个好的人道的受生。
And then finally, we have the sixth Bardo, which is the Bardo of Dharmata or suchness.
那我们最后的一个这个中音的话呢，我们是刚刚讲到有这个法性中音。
Dharmata or suchness is the luminous nature of all phenomena, the clear light of emptiness. All sentient beings come face to face with this clear light after death, but the length of their experience of this Bardo is determined by the cultivation of their awareness in waking life. This profound experience often overwhelms sentient beings, causing them to flee to the familiar realms of rebirth. If recognized, this Bardo can be a direct path to enlightenment.
这个第六个法性中音也是叫做这个如是。 也就是说，一个明光的状态，所有现象明光的状态， 也就是这个空性的这个明光。所有的这些众生呢，就是我们在这里都会经历这个明光。就是说这个明光的出现的时长不一样，都是基于我们的这个经验还有我们的修持来这个决定的，就是我们此生当中。所以这个非常殊胜的这个经验的话呢，会让这个普通的众生没有修持的众生呢，让他们会非常的这个害怕，会跑到我们熟悉的这个人道或者是别的道处。如果你能够在这一刻抓住这个法性中阴，抓住这个明光的话呢，那这个中阴的话呢，会直接让你去得到证悟的这个状态。
So yeah, tene tata ngaron so chinyi pad se de zo ani kusung ke kusung sangji tubi ko longshe tubi ko chiji ko se de phoya ke chedala tene ngal so chinyi pad se ge res.
yanzu ti sono nangona.
Tubi ko sangji tubi ko longshe tubi ko ani chiji ko se kusung yarwa. Sangji kusung tubi ko.
So when we learn about the Bardo of suchness, we need to contemplate the three bodies of the Buddha, the Dharmakaya, Sambhogakaya, and Nirmanakaya.
当我们讲那个法性中阴的时候呢，我们要去思维这个佛有三身，就是法身、化身以及报身。
So there are the previous 5 Bardos that we've discussed, but if we can connect all of them to this final Bardo, this Bardo of suchness, this has the greatest benefit.
就是说我们刚刚讲了前面5种，如果能把前面的5种全部都归到最后的这个法性中阴的话呢，这是非常有利益的。
So all of the previous Bardos and future Bardos that we may go through are the result of cause and effect.
刚刚我们所讲的所有的中心呢，都是根据这个因和果来这个显现的。
다다가랑서 마싱엘라 강야부 저거이나 되니 친이 받으세요. 받을 째마 다달라. 아니 코로나 치통제 땅만이 놀라샤. 치통제 담에 임바 놀라샤. 치통제 되니 땅이 임바 놀라샤. 되니 노아 탕제 흘라 임바 나와샤. 무통제 빼고 지워 임바. 바로 사제 탕제 지워 임바가 나와샤야 탕제 친이 받으세요.
So when we try to understand the Bardo of suchness from our position as living in this life, it is a period of realization, understanding that all things are selfless, that all beings have Buddha nature, and all of these. To fully understand the selflessness of all phenomena that exist. To understand the emptiness of all phenomena that exist, and the lack of self of all phenomena that exist, the emptiness of all phenomena that exist. To understand that all places are as if and that all that is around us is equal to the mandala, all beings are equal to the deity, and so forth. And so if we can learn to start to generate that now, in that moment of the Bardo, we can generate it as the mandala with all the beings that appear in front of us as deities and as a sacred space.
刚刚讲的这个法性中阴呢，意思就是说悟实的意识境界。那我们要去悟什么实相呢？就是说我们要了知所有的这个一切现象都是无我，就是法无我。那我们要了知这个空性本身的话呢，也是这个没有实相的。就是说我们要从现在就开始呢， 把我们周围的环境呢是看作是这个坛城。所有的这个人呢，我们遇到的人呢，都是这个本尊啊。就是如果你现在就开始修持这样子的概念，那到了中阴的时候呢，你就可以有这个清楚的这个意识，知道哦，这样子是真实的这个状况。
Okay.
Michigla tiwa yore sa.
좋아요. 나 레제그멘스.
So he's teasing us. I said someone has a question. He said, I'm not answering any questions, but he's teasing. So the question, how may virtuous humans with no exposure to Buddhism or lamas achieve a fortunate rebirth? Mi gewa yakpo yena, semba zangbo gewa yakpo yena, yena konso de nangbe chue jama nyon, lama jema nyon, konso kanjes gewa yakpo jegresa.
네, 델레 체바요 말해서 저랑 넘버 마이나야 뭐 sombo 셈바 sombo 예나야 아니 저랑 그 근데게 넘버 마이나야 된다 같은 좋아 미 발을 치파래 남시티 바돌 조게 치파치창래 이나야 뒤가서 땡데 패토 그랬어 셈바 sombo도 미야보데.
At the end of all of this, really there's no difference as long as they are truly a good person, because so much of the Bardo is based on generating good virtue and understanding of the mind. So if they are a good person, this will have a huge effect on a good rebirth.
好像仁波切回答了一个问题我没有听清楚。那回答就是说，这些每一个类别呢都没有太大的区别，所有的这一切呢都是根据你自己是不是一个好人，是不是一个善人。如果你能做好事，成为一个善人的话呢，所有的这些中阴呢，到最后你都会有很好的去处，很好的善身的。
가인스 지체 가인스나 넘바다 넘바 마이바이 깨져요 말았어. 좋아 미임바라 치바 나로서 대화에 발라 정아 대화인데 발라 치바 둥암문데 발라 치바랬어.
And the reason for this is because at the end of the day, Buddhist or non-Buddhist is all the same. All sentient beings want the same thing. We want to be happy. We want to be free from suffering. So all of us are the same, whether or not we are Buddhist.
就是因为我们要了知这个概念，就是不管你是不是佛教徒呢，所有人都是要快乐，不要痛苦的，对吧
？Yanta tiwati yore. Nga ti nyenyo ye mi kachi gi labna sentient beings sentient changma kashe de nima shichu shigo de mare yene nima shichu shigo de mountsrebe de dembar bes. I've heard that some beings do not spend the entire 49 days in the Bardo, but that is the maximum time. Is that correct?
델라네 따동니 요레스. 아니 다리 칸을 시반나지 소소 라마야보도 자 소소 치야보 주예나 아니 다다 샤보 이치 걸고 말해 총 사마다달라 시와랜도게 요래 아니 샤보 송노니 시와랜도게 요래 샤보 딜노 야래 이나 레쇼 때 샤보 이치 시거가 나로라 아니 저런 시와
This is correct. The maximum is 49 days or 7 weeks. Some people will say 2 weeks or 3 weeks or 6 weeks. And especially if someone has a very good connection with the Lama and a good practice, they're much more likely to exit the Bardo faster. But 49 days is the maximum time.
那刚刚有一个英文问题，就是说，我听说49天是最长的时间，有些人会短，对吗？那仁波切说对的，有些人几天，有些人几个礼拜。那根据你的修持状况，还有你的业，那49天是最长的时候。
So I'll ask one more question in English. 可是这个英语的问题后，我们有一个中文的问题，所以你可以把这个。可是第一个是一个英文的问题，可以吗？
可以是。谢谢。
Okay. I'm a mental health provider, and I've worked with both children and adults experiencing psychosis and hallucinations. Could this be an extension of some sort of Bardo? Nga semgi membaye ane nga pugodang mi chembo niga danyamdo leka chebiye konso kashe nyombaje ane chamcham konso gi simnane number truba yore ine ngone yo maresa de Bardo chekbe.
데 나랑서 다 다당하로서 드리시에 받도도 말해서 이나야 시에 마시 파가 나로라다 밀라 소선다만다 예르텔라 나로도 니비 받았어 그랬어.
This is not one of the 6 Bardos that we discussed today, but within the Bardo of life, this exists as the Bardo of illness. So this is a form of a Bardo.
所以这有个英文问题，就是说我是一个医护人员，那我帮助小孩和大人，他们是有神经病，还有会产生幻觉的。那这个是我们的讨论的一个中阴吗？那仁波切说不是的，这个不是一个这个中阴的一个状况。Khenpo, we have a Chinese question.
Sure, please.
So this asking that if we never have empowerment and practiced 100 deities, will we see them in the Bardo or not?
Yeah,
okay.
I mean, we is actually you believe your Buddhism, you are not practice Buddhism, but no matter. We have is refuge took or not, is no matter. Or I believe Buddhism. That's also you say, oh, I believe motivation Buddhism. I think this is fine.
仁波切说的话呢，这边不管你信不信佛，就是说有没有真的修持，你心里面要相信这个有这个东西，那这样子的话就比较有这个帮助。Khenpo, also they asking there according to the Guru Rinpoche Pama Sambhava teaching, maybe everybody will see. And also they said if people have practice of deity, they will see deity. How about people they never practice any deity? Will they see any deity over there in the Bardo, like the dying?
No, that's difficult. You need is for receiving from empowerment, the commentary, transmission, lineage, as whatever. There you can practice. You daily do like you show you. For example, one shop, they have you don't have money. They never give to you T-shirt. Never give you show you like anything.
Chua de tesman dawade kimbula. Yine ande morangi sona de kesi michi nangba mena nganso barto la jo de chichena nganso de yitam gi number tagdera. Ani la mambu gi number tagde. Kasi nganso nangba mena nyamne mena number denje yore yomaresa.
Tetez kale khabores. 소소 남바 임바 강시라 소소로 바차고래 바차 메나 아니 소소 남시도 집반도 그래도 이나 이동라처럼 통토야 되요 말았어.
So to clarify a bit more on that question, it's a really difficult question to answer, but if you don't have a connection to a deity, then the image of that deity probably will not appear to you while you're in the Bardo. But it's a difficult question.
Sure. 刚刚有人问，那这位这个假阳德典，他说如果没有修持本尊，在这个死亡中阴的时候会见到本尊吗？看仁波切说，就是刚刚翻译Emily 他说这个问题其实比较复杂，简单来讲的话呢是不太有可能见到本尊的。原因是什么呢？你要通过灌顶修持还有口传才可以。举例子，比如你去商店里面，你想买这个衣服，那你不给钱的话呢，他不会把衣服给你的，类似是这样子的。
네 바도 값을 이동 라테서 같은 통토에 제발라 투모 마인 비뇨랭 그거요래 네 넘버 마인 발라 넘베가 투모 마인 비뇨라 메바이데 바도 갈라테니 차토지 마레 이나야 텐타오 진짜게 예제레스와 집반지 자게 예제레데 이나야 인지 제타 로가 차게 상도스.
So the Bardo itself that we experience, it doesn't matter whether or not you're Buddhist. However, the way you experience it, of course, if you have a Buddhist reference point, then what you experience in the Bardo will be reflected by that Buddhist reference point.
那刚讲说这个中阴，不管你是不是佛教徒，你都会经历。那如果你是佛教徒的话，当然你所经历还有你所对峙去应对的方法呢，当然是佛教所教的这个修持的方法。
당연히 양자 지와카시 열에 있는 카마추기 제랑한 자지제 도고래 공원다 슈게 계란하고 내가 아마 나도 이런데 말하면 단단한 카마추에 So I'd like to apologize for everyone. We've got a few more questions. I'll do my best to answer them, but unfortunately I have to go because I'm on the East Coast in a little while. So the first question is, Khenpo, you talk about the 4 great terrors. His Holiness Sakya-Tizin Rinpoche talks about the 7 great fears, including the 3 cliffs. Does everyone experience the cliffs? Khenpo, kirandi takshi kor sonson yineande Sakya-Tizin Rinpoche sonandi jikchen duen dang chak sum yore mit sangma chak sum Nyamyo yorbesa.
Te tiri ndu ina ya nge tsama tiri hito ma sonsi. Tsa chia yima tu hito ma so shita mangi pigi ta chu kasa ding tada ding seya da te tsama ndu ta jima tise shuna nge yamcha muntu ne higi shita tili yoresi.
All of those are in there and are experienced, but unfortunately we didn't have time. We don't have time to discuss all of this. It's a very big topic. And he held up the text that it comes from, which is 16 pages of single-spaced Tibetan. And so, unfortunately, while that is something wonderful to talk about, we just haven't had a time to discuss it yet. But of course, he'd love to discuss it later.
是，那这个问题就是说，仁波切你说了这个有4大恐惧，那这个尊敬的萨迦法王说有7种恐惧，包括3种悬崖，是不是所有人都会经历呢？那看仁波切回答说是的，但是因为我们这边没有时间去讨论，因为其实中宾是一个非常大的这个话题，那光它的这个材料呢就有16页的这个单行的这个藏文，所以当然如果以后有机会的话会给大家细讲。
Another question. Thank you, Rinpoche and translators. Could this current global pandemic and its liminal state be considered a kind of collective Bardo state, given that we are in a liminal state of waiting for things to get better, such as a vaccine or cure, of physical distancing, of much terror, danger, and death? If so, do you have any advice on how to approach this current moment?
Yes.
De danda de neba chenbo yore zambolina neba chenbo yore ani de bardo tes jabore ani ngansu sana de bardo re se sana kanje re khayin sana ngansu danda da maumba par yabo shingamare de khat pyargi me yona ma yona ngansu shingamare ngansu tanyemo jotu mare ngansu jita mangbu ngansu jik mangbo yore nyenka mangbo yore shiba mangbo yore de de bardo jabore ani yana keran la labja yube nganzo kandres dandagi nechu nyamle yapo chetu kure. Such a good question. This is exactly it. This absolutely is a bardo. Today, what we were primarily discussing were the bardos that affect us between the moment of death and rebirth. However, within life, we absolutely have bardos of sickness, and this definitely is one of those.
Yes. 这边有个问题说，谢谢仁波切的译者，可以将这种当前的全球大流行以及边缘状态视为一种集体的这个中阴状态吗？假设我们处于一个边缘状态，等待疫情变好，等待治愈方式，身体疏远恐怖、危险和死亡。如果是这样子的话，有什么建议呢？那看仁波切回答说，当然是，这是非常好的问题。那因为现在的这个状况的话呢，我们共业产生现在的中阴状态。当然，这个病是这个中阴当中的一种状态，那当然可以是我们的中阴状态的一种。
As for what advice goes with it, well, there's a little bit of advice that I can give you from the Buddha Dharma.
那从这个佛法的状态当中呢，我可以给大家一点佛法方面的建议。
So the first thing we should do is we should make a lot of prayers. May we pray that the people who are healthy do not become sick. Pray that those who are sick should swiftly recover. Pray that those who have died can have a good rebirth.
那首先的话呢，我给的建议就是说，我们一定要猛烈的祈请，就是说祈愿这个状况会变好，这个是非常有力量的。
For example, here at Sakya Monastery, we do the practice of Chenrezi Avalokiteshvara every single day, which does exactly this. It prays for those who are alive to be better and well and have good things in their life for those who have passed on to improve. And we also do the practice of Tantong Gyalpo and others, all for these purposes. And you can also do good practices at home of a similar way in order to benefit people during such a difficult time.
那当然，就像我们在这个萨迦寺，我会做很多的这个修持，当然还有唐宗家婆的祛病祈请文，那你们也可以在家里面做同样的修持来祈愿和回向。
And then the third is, of course, we just have to take care of our physical health.
当然，第三个最重要的就是身体要健康嘛。
아메리카 밑에서 가리 제거분도 아니 총라 두고도스 다 비선 데지바 네드 메자위지라 무참마 가리제 가리 메나야 가시게 티셔츠들이 가리트는 두고도 자이찬이 야버려서 이나야 데쟁아서 데 최대한테 데지 갈서버리 디세 캔사원도 차스 상비였어.
But America has been a little bit weird about this. Like when the disease was kind of at its peak, no one wanted to wear masks. And now things are getting a bit better and people are wearing masks or even like tying a t-shirt around their face or something. So people seem to be having some consciousness about their health, but taking it a little bit strangely.
就是有些人愿意戴这个口罩，有些人不愿意戴。其实大家都很关心自己的健康，但是大家的这个想法不一样嘛。
근데 이나요 나로서 치빠지이디 치빠디게 나 힘으로서가 나그랬으니 되는抓야 되는 예들이 요마다스 봐 나로서 그세바 거용보 sem바 쪼보체 나랑 그 라마 괜찮아 소왔다 말람다 칸데 뭐체게 말람 뭐체게 땐데 나 나그 말이 셴라 딘데 말람체나 디게 만나야 팬토그레 삼베코네 sem바나라 덴세도 이치고스.
But we as Buddhists, what must we do? First of all, we should generate the idea we should pray for all sentient beings, but also generate the idea I am going to be healthy, I'm going to stay healthy, and I'm going to stay healthy so that I can continue to benefit all sentient beings and do good things for others. And we should generate this as part of our practice as Buddhists.
那我们作为佛教徒呢，我们要想说，我们经历的修持，我会很健康的，我也会不生病的，因为这样子的话呢，我才可以担起重任来为众生祈愿，利益众生。我们要有这样子的信念。
근데 다들이 바도게 딜라 몸보도 이나야 착성화 쇼도 마서도 이나 딘나로네 내가 채와 나랑게 로라 지샤야 던지데 넘어서로 시에 근데 지마 되지 지근날 양차 은티마 바도데 다로 양차인데 히 카히지 하고도 아니 딜지니 히고스.
And as you can see, there's actually much more to the Bardo teaching than what we've discussed today. This is only a small part of it, but hopefully at some point in the future, we'll be able to carry on this conversation and more teachings about the Bardo because there is so much more detail to discuss.
那中英的这个细节呢，还有很多可以跟大家分享的。那如果以后有机会的话，我们再来教授。
So just my language book I use now.
Yeah. Sorry to abandon you all, but you know his English is much better than he pretends it is. So you guys will do great. Sorry that I have to leave so quickly at this point. Thank you all.
Thank you, Amelia. Thank you so much.
Keep enjoying, and I hope this is recorded so I can take the rest of the questions. Thank you all.
Thank you. So
thank you.
So with this part of today. Now include where dedication is the last one. So today little bit about to share my heart feeling. So this I learning for philosophy is about to Bardo. This is I think it's a very opportunity each other remind these times. So I would like to thank you for such a honesty and also Ishikando and Teresa, and also included as a translator Amalaya and Zoe, and also for myself, I'm very happy to this is my contribution. Is His Holiness the Dacha Rinpoche. He always said, "Who are you rich? Who are you poor? Who are you beautiful lady? Who are beautiful man?" He said, "No matter. One day we are all dead." Now today, just for Sam here, this place, I tell me, just for we just remind again, this I was show you. So of course we not know this. Actually, we no need scary. we have just a really opportunity. Just look at your body beautiful, mind beautiful. Ours all is a hand. Buddha, he said, whatever you do best, this I give to your hand. Enlightenment, dedication, practice, learning. So ours have everything to do. Ours eat or not, up to you, up to me.
那刚刚给大家讲了这个中医的教授，那我非常的感谢有这个机会，感谢寺院感谢所有的这个组织者。那我是非常的感谢达钦法王给我这个有这个机会在这边教授。那达钦法王经常就讲，你不管是美丽还是富贵与否，你最终都会要死的，这是要知道。然后呢，另外就是说我们把这个佛法的内容呢交到你的手上，已经给了你这个机会。那我们现在有这个机会来修持佛法，要不要修持，要不要解脱，要不要获得快乐，那是你自己的决定，你自己去付诸实际的。
So, of course, everybody knows about Buddhist knowledge. Mostly people knows very great your learning times. Now we are practice times, I guess.
那我猜想说大家刚刚学习了，那刚刚一会儿下线的话，大家就是这个修持的时间。
Also, such a Bentata, he said, no matter age, he said, today you born child, tomorrow you die old people. He said, no age, no matter, but there's a remedy when I die, I can do my confidence to my self-consciousness, do something best. That's, I think, so remedy we think very important.
那另外萨迦班智达就讲说，这个明日纵使死亡来，今日还要求知识，就是说不管死亡什么时候来，是在年轻还是老的时候，我们每一天都要学习，每一天都要积累知识，来利益我们的生生世世。
Also, such a Gunganimbo, he said, our body look this lifetimes look like Bardo somebody. The service Bardo you. They said, thank you for your body, for consciousness help service with some best in my life. I think so that's we think that you have no attachment list.
那另外我们的萨迦出祖萨茜公广宁波也讲，我们此生的身体就像是借来的物件一样，终要是还回去的。那就是说要有这样的概念，我们就是说意识会跟着我们相续，所以我们一定要努力的这个来行持。
Also, usually we also think about to my body, my mind this time for contribution to generous to all sentient beings. All sentient beings help for my body, help for my mind. They're thinking about, I think some more is interest in your Dharma learn, Dharma practice.
另外一个呢，我们要知道，我们从身还有意方面的话，都要很这个布施，要非常的慷慨。不管是身体上的事业布施，还是意识的这个祈愿布施，这个会让我们的修持呢变得更加的有趣，会更加的这个精进。
So, what do I say? Finally. So yeah, today you can go to Rinpoche. Now almost America just Seattle evening time, New York more evening time. Tonight you can go to your bad place, you're well sleepy, all pure light first thinking. Where you sleep there, your pillow, child, everything clean. This is not women people level. This is today Amitabha level. All is for Buddha nature level. Your body is look like when you sleep there, not thinking this is a Teresa body, this is a Khenpo Jampa body. This you think about body is look like holy body. Then when your consciousness close slowly, maybe some easy, something mantra, maybe follow, go to slowly, you sleep tonight to tomorrow, whole just level look like it's a peaceful and joyful, all virtuous. Tomorrow morning you woke up, oh, today I'm not dead. I can do best. That is a dim part of with just one practice tonight.
那我倡议大家今天晚上睡觉的时候呢，就做我们这个睡梦中阴的修持。就是说睡觉的时候呢，你要观想你在的这个卧室、你的床 都非常的清净，是不是普通的这个你的家，是一个净土来的。就是说心念呢非常的专注的在这种情况当中入睡，那可以就是说听一点音乐，或者说在骤声当中睡觉。那当明天早上醒来的时候，你就说哦，今天我还活着，那我就把昨天晚上的这个修持的这个回向呢回向给众生。那就是说以此种方式呢，我们来修持静观的这个睡梦中阴，是这样子来修持的。
Also, I just saw already His Holiness. He just first just Apple, I think the mirror he message. He teach there for his Tongtong Japos for such a nedroma pandemic. He said true say. He said one, he said everybody to this is our karma, but this is not other people don't judge. They say our myself, something my past life, something do good or not, that's coming true now. Then he said, future is nobody is coming, but I, Dhamma practitioner, pray to all sentient beings, dedication all sentient beings, dedication all your family member who lost, who is illness, who people future. He said, this is all just normal. They said, no scary, no each other fighting, no each other look like criticize. He said, man keep to is pure your motivation, and also is you recover soon more they help you. I think so. This is really is a big message. I know for what His Holiness said.
那之前这个尊胜的41任萨迦法王在给予这个唐东加波教授的时候呢，讲到2点呢，看仁波切觉得非常有用的给我们分享。一个就是说，我现在所有经历的事情，不管是好还是坏，都是我以前自己的业所造作的。为什么这么想呢？就是你不要去评论别人，说是别人造成你现在的状况，这个非常的重要。特别是对于这个修行者来说的话呢，我们未来怎么样呢，也是掌握到自己的手中的。所以这个时候，我们应该以这种正念的想法呢，以业因果的这种束缚的知识呢，来回向我们所有的这些病的亲人呐，或者说已经去世的亲人啊。那特别是就是修行者来说的话呢，不要去评论别人，不要去恶语重伤别人，不要去八卦别人，而应该是知道自己的业，自己现在应该怎么做，这是非常重要的一个法王给我们的指导。
Also, His Holiness 42nd, he also message say, he said, is this on the world? He said, this pandemic, he said, no medicine, no injection, but he said, we have medicine. He said, Dhamma practice, he said, best this pandemic medicine.
那42任萨迦法王也有提示过，就是目前来说，在这个疫情全球的疫情呢，我们没有治愈的这个解药，或者还没有这个疫苗。那最好的解药、最好的药是什么呢？就是佛法的修持，这就是这个年代最好的药。
I think so. Those all over message for I was reminded just not really long while you really difficult short message, short teaching, just review your mind. I think so really help your confidence more happy lifetime. Also for myself, this such a monastery loved almost 6 months. But I'm very busy in my home. Actually, morning homework, series parties, sometimes we just for every schedule make it. I have not time not enough. I never boring. Sometimes say tomorrow what I do today, or today I know this finish, but tomorrow continue do that. I think so Dharma practice is really help our life.
那刚刚所讲的这个我们的根本上师们的这个传承祖师的这个教授呢，非常有用。那如果大家没有时间去听这种很长的教授的话，那看一点简短的这个教授或者法语的话呢，对我们一天的这个帮助呢，会让我们的心念呢更加的坚定。另外一个就是说，看仁波切说他在这个寺庙里面呢已经被困了6个月吧。但这6个月当中，他不觉得无聊，不觉得孤独，原因是什么呢？每天早上起来要做功课，要做这个观音的修法，下午的话呢，要和这个寺庙的管理人员制定明天要教什么课程是什么。所以说，佛法从真正的生活当中呢，也会让我们充满了乐趣，充满了需要做的事情，他都觉得时间不够用，这是另外一个帮助我们的方式。
So thank you for everybody listen. Now I stop to 3:30, 2.5 is my contribution teaching. And also, hopefully everybody see very clean face, very happy. We are almost 6 months each other no see, but soon coming to holy place. I'm waiting for all of you. Every day we open light, every day open His Holiness for seat, light open. Just everybody coming to, when open, we coming together, practice together dedication for this hour's life contribution to all sentient beings. So today about teaching Bardo, this is a good merit. Ours together, not only I teach, you love such listen good, the practice both ours good merit to for live long. His Holiness Generosity, His Holiness 41 is Komatije Dojin Chang, 42, and also Living Kenshin, and also we are great. It's all is lifelong masters, and also our help, also our country, our neighbor on the world. We just imagine thinking it's no matter whatever, but just keep to its highness, heart for, as Chandikund said, Niji Chenpo. Niji Chenpo means the biggest your compassion and your love and your heart feel is a contribution to share to all of you. So today we just this teaching good merit. We just who are people pass away, who are people live long now, who are featured with dedication. This Buddha Bodhisattvas house dedication pray. We together same imagine, then together pray. They include with dedication prayer. Okay.
那今天的教授就此呢，希望大家不仅仅是我在这边教授，你们非常用心的去听，非常用心的去修持，这也有很大的功德。那我们就讲说，我们要把自己的心、自己的爱、自己的所有的善业呢，分享给所有的人。那我们一起跟这个看仁波切做一个回向，谢谢大家。
Thank you. Thank you.
Thank you, Rinpoche.
Thank you.